Evening, Chris.
Hiya.
You're so busy. This is the only time I really get to talk to you. But I do have another question for you.
Okay.
Do academies break children's hearts?
Well, in any elite sport where there's selection, as I've said before, there's going to be massive disappointment. You know, you're going to select some kids and not others. So there is going to be rejection. So yes, that is going to be a massive disappointment for parents and kids. Sometimes when I hear parents complain about that, I'm thinking that, well, really, it's just the fact that there's been that selection. And almost however it was done, they were going to be upset because they're going to be released. Some will be released. So to some extent, disappointment is inevitable for a lot of kids. But it's then a question of how it's done. And I've been, as you know, I've been through this as a parent with sons released from academies, and it's very tough to take, and it's very tough for them. But it does come down to how it's done. Now, the good academies, if your son is in a good academy, or your daughter, because I imagine it's the same for boys and girls here, if your child is in a good academy, then the first thing I would say is that when it comes to the end of a registration, the end of a season, it shouldn't be a massive surprise what the decision is, because you should be getting feedback all the way through. Now, I know this is difficult for coaches because you don't want to preempt things as a coach. You're encouraging kids all the time. You're trying to get the best out of them. You're trying to build them up. And that's one of the reasons that parents complain, oh, you said he was great. You said, he was doing this and he was doing that. And then you've released him. Well, that's because coaches are trying to encourage and they're trying to get the best out of kids. And as we know, you get the best out of kids by encouraging the positives to a large extent. But having said that, there should be, and at the good academies that there are, regular meetings with parents giving feedback, so it doesn't come as a massive surprise at the end of the season. I deal with releasing or signing players at the end of trials, and we have a process so that there is feedback during the trial, so it's not altogether a surprise, but there's still disappointment. Then it's a matter of how that's put over. To be honest, there are some parents who are just going to hear the fact that you're saying no, and whatever else you say is not really going to register. And I don't think they're always helping their kids by being like that, as difficult as it is for everybody. Because the good academy will then look to say to the kid and the parent, even though we're releasing you, how can we help next? Can we help you get another club? Can we help by getting you into some other training program? In other words, our responsibility just doesn't just finish with a guillotine at a release. The good academies do provide that aftercare, and more need to do that. Clearly, I do agree with that. So as you know, I spend a lot of time with players that I have on trial who we don't take, helping them find other clubs at all ages, including at scholars and so on. And I feel that is part of my responsibility in dealing with players on trial. And it's the same with side players, so it's coaches that are mostly going to deal with it. But the scouts need to get involved as well. They're original scouts. Can they then step in and help and monitor them and ease them back into local football or wherever they're best going to be placed? In other words, still help to support their careers, even though their time at the academy is done. So it is a disappointment, and it can be heartbreak. It can be overcome, of course. It's not the end of the world. It's not the end of the world just because it's football, but because there are so many players who go on, have been released from one academy to do really well at another one and go on and have great careers. So parents are going to be trying to help their kids overcome that and bounce back and develop that resilience that we talked about before. It's tough, but it can be done. So I don't think academies are setting out to break kids' hearts. There are hearts broken along the way. Academies can manage the process well, and some do manage it very well. Others still have a bit of a way to go. But it's a good question. And if the people out there have questions, you're sending a lot of questions, which is great. We're going to bring a load of questions together, and on the YouTube channel, which is The Scouting Game on YouTube, this Friday, we're going to try and go through a lot of questions because there's too many to deal with just in single videos. So go onto the YouTube channel, the Scouting Game, subscribe, and on Friday we'll do a Q&A, and we'll try and get through a lot of these questions that we haven't had time to answer in the individual videos. All right?
Thanks, Chris.